My name is Alex. I am 27 years old, but my life was not always easy. I lost my job because of English. I still remember that moment very clearly. The silence, the embarrassment, and the feeling that I had failed in front of everyone. It changed my life completely. But what happened after that changed who I am as a person. And today, I want to share my story with you. Because if you are struggling with English right now, this story might change your life too. So listen carefully. I will speak slowly. Just listen and repeat with me to improve your English now. Let's go back to the beginning. I am not a rich man. I come from a simple middle-class family. My father is a shop worker, and my mother is a housewife. They worked very hard to give me a good life and education. After finishing my studies, I got a normal job in a company. I worked in customer service. It was not a dream job, but it was enough to support my daily life. But everything changed because of one skill I ignored for years: English. I never thought it would affect my future. I thought my job was safe. I was wrong, and that mistake cost me everything. I remember after that moment, I kept thinking about what I said before. I thought my job was safe, but now I realized it was not safe at all. Everything started changing when my company announced something new. We were getting international clients. At first, I was happy. I thought it was a good opportunity for growth. More work, more experience, maybe even a better future, but I didn't know what was coming next. My manager called a meeting one morning. He said, "From today, we will start working with foreign clients. Some meetings will be in English." But deep inside, I already knew something was wrong. The day of the first international meeting came. I still remember it clearly. The screen was full of people from another country. They were speaking English very fast. Their words felt like a blur. I tried to listen carefully, but I could not understand most of it. Then my manager looked at me. He said, "Alex, can you explain this part?" My mind went completely blank. It was the same feeling I had been avoiding for years. Fear. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I tried again. Still nothing. Everyone was waiting for me. The silence became heavy. Too heavy. I felt my face turning red. My hands started shaking. I could hear my own heartbeat. My manager finally had to step in and answer for me. That moment broke something inside me. After the meeting, I sat at my desk quietly. I could not look at anyone. I felt embarrassed, completely helpless. And then I started remembering the sentence I used to say before all this happened. I thought my job was safe, but now I understood the truth. My job was never safe. Because I was not prepared. Day by day, the pressure started building. Every meeting made me nervous. Every email felt difficult. Every call felt like a test. I could fail. And slowly, I began to realize something painful. This was not just a small problem. This was becoming the biggest weakness of my life. I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, after coming home from work, I felt completely exhausted. Not just physically, but mentally too. I sat on my bed and kept thinking about everything that happened. The meetings where I stayed silent. The moments I didn't understand anything. the embarrassment in front of my manager. It all kept playing in my mind like a loop. I felt stuck, like I was losing control of my own life. I stood up slowly and walked toward the mirror. I looked at myself for a long time, and I asked myself something very painful. Is this really the future I want? Silence. No answer came. In that moment, I realized something important. If I don't fix this problem, it will keep destroying my confidence, my job, and my dreams. My hands were shaking, but my thoughts were getting clearer. I said to myself, I will learn English in 5 months, no matter what. It was not just a sentence. It was a decision, a final decision. I repeated it again, louder this time. I will change my life in 5 months. I will not give up. That night, I took a notebook and started writing everything I needed to do. A strict daily plan. No excuses, no laziness, no skipping. Every day I would learn new English words, watch English videos, practice speaking out loud, repeat everything until I understood. I knew it would not be easy, but I also knew something stronger. If I continued like this, nothing would ever change in my life, and I was not ready to stay the same person anymore. So, I started changing my routine. From the very next day, it was not easy at all. I was learning English in a very basic way. Simple words, simple sentences, nothing advanced. Every day I wrote around 20 new words in my notebook. I tried to remember them again and again. At first, I felt confident, but when I tried to use those words in real sentences, I failed many times. I would forget them. I would mix them. I would feel confused. Still, I didn't stop after coming home from work. I would sit alone in my room and start studying. No distractions, no excuses. I also started watching English videos on YouTube. Very slow videos, very simple content. But even then, I couldn't understand everything. Sometimes I had to pause the video again and again, just to understand one sentence. My pronunciation was not good. My grammar was weak. My confidence was low. I made many mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Sometimes I felt embarrassed, even when no one was watching. There were moments when I thought, maybe I am not made for this. But then I remembered something. I remembered the promise I made in front of the mirror. I will learn English in 5 months, no matter what. That promise didn't let me stop. Even when I was tired. Even when I was frustrated. Even when I felt like giving up. I kept going. Because deep inside, I knew something important. If I don't change myself now, I will always remain the same person. So I made a decision. If I truly wanted to change my future, I had to change the way I learned. From that day, I didn't just study English. I started practicing it. I began speaking English out loud every single day. At first, it felt very strange. I would stand in my room and talk to myself. Simple sentences like, my name is Alex. I am learning English. I can do this. It felt silly in the beginning, but I kept doing it. Slowly, I also started reading aloud. I would take short English texts and read them again and again. At first, my pronunciation was very bad. I could hear my own mistakes clearly, but I didn't stop. I focused on improving little by little. Every day, I tried to pronounce words better than yesterday, and something interesting started happening. I started noticing my improvement. My tongue was getting used to English sounds. My confidence was slowly growing. My fear was becoming smaller. Then something even more powerful happened. I started thinking in English. At first, it was just small thoughts like, I am hungry, I need water, I will study now. But I didn't translate from my native language anymore. English started coming naturally in my mind. That moment felt special because I realized I was no longer just learning English. I was starting to live it. Confidence begins. When I started thinking in English, something inside me changed. I felt like I was finally moving forward, but I knew thinking was not enough. I had to speak with real people. So, I took a small but brave step. I started speaking with others online. At first, I was very nervous. My hands would shake before every conversation. I kept thinking, what if I make mistakes? What if they don't understand me? But I still joined the calls. And yes, I made many mistakes. I forgot words. I spoke slowly. Sometimes, I stopped in the middle of a sentence. But something surprising happened. People didn't laugh at me. They actually helped me. They repeated words for me. They corrected me kindly. They encouraged me to keep going. That gave me hope. At the same time, I started recording my voice. Every day I would pick a topic and speak for 1 to 2 minutes. Then I would listen to myself. At first, it was painful to hear my own voice. I noticed every mistake clearly, but instead of feeling bad, I started learning from it. Every day, I tried to speak a little better than yesterday. Slowly, my fear of making mistakes started reducing. I stopped thinking too much before speaking. I just spoke. Even if it was not perfect, even if I made errors, and that was the biggest change in me. My confidence started building slowly, not suddenly, but step by step, day by day. I was no longer afraid of English. I was becoming comfortable with it. And for the first time in a long time, I started believing that maybe, just maybe, I could actually do this. Month 4. The understanding phase. I was still learning, but now I was enjoying it. This was the month when I started understanding real English. I began watching movies and podcasts in English. At first, I still used subtitles, but something interesting happened. Slowly, I started catching words without reading everything. Small sentences, simple ideas, familiar expressions. I didn't need to translate everything in my mind anymore. My brain was getting used to English. So, I made a new challenge for myself. I started watching without subtitles. At first, it was difficult. I missed many words. I didn't understand everything. But I didn't stop. I kept watching again and again. And slowly, things became clearer. I could understand the main idea of conversations. I could follow simple stories without help. That moment felt amazing because I realized something very important. My hard work was finally showing results. People around me also started noticing the difference. My pronunciation was better. My confidence was higher. My English was improving step by step. Even I could feel it inside me. It was not a small change. It was real progress. And with that progress came something powerful. Motivation. I started feeling excited to learn every day. I wanted to speak more. I wanted to listen more. I wanted to improve faster. Because now I could see the result of my effort. And that feeling pushed me even further. I was no longer forcing myself to study. Month 5. The fluency phase. By the time I reached the 5th month, everything felt different. I was no longer struggling like before. I was improving fast, and I could feel it every single day. This was the month where I started speaking fluently in interviews. Not perfect English, but clear, confident English. I remember my first interview in this phase very clearly. Before, I used to feel nervous, even hearing English questions. But this time, I stayed calm when the interviewer spoke. I understood him, and when I answered, the words came naturally. Not forced, not translated, just spoken. For the first time, I felt like I was in control. Something even more powerful happened during this month. I lost my fear of speaking. I stopped worrying about mistakes. If I made an error, I just corrected myself and continued. I didn't stop my flow anymore. I didn't overthink. I just spoke, and that made a huge difference. Another big change was happening inside my mind. I started thinking in English completely. Before, I used to translate everything from my native language, but now my thoughts were coming directly in English. Simple thoughts like, I need to go. I will reply late. I understand this. It felt natural, like English was becoming a part of me. And one day, I realized something powerful. This transformation was not small. It was real. I had changed. Not just my English, but my confidence, my mindset, my personality. I was no longer the same person who lost his job because of English. I had become someone new, someone stronger, someone confident, and I knew I was ready for the next big step in my life. The success moment, my life changed. After 5 months of constant effort, my life finally reached a turning point. I applied for a new job in an international company. This time, I was not the same person who had lost confidence before. I was prepared. During the interview, I stayed calm. I understood every question, and I answered in English without fear. Not perfect, but confident. A few days later, I received the call. I still remember that moment. They said, "Congratulations, Alex. You are selected." For a moment, I couldn't even speak. I just sat there, smiling. After everything I went through, this moment felt unreal. I got a better job with a higher salary, and more importantly, respect. My hard work had finally paid off. On my first day, I joined an international meeting. The same thing that once destroyed my confidence was now my strength. People spoke English in the meeting, but this time I was not silent. I participated. I shared my ideas. I answered questions, and everything went smoothly. No fear, no panic, no silence, just confidence. After the meeting, I sat quietly and realized something powerful. I had changed completely. The boy who once lost his job because of English was now confidently speaking in English in front of international colleagues. My confidence was fully restored. But more than that, I had learned something bigger than English. I had learned discipline, consistency, and self-belief, and that changed everything. The moment they saw my change, a few weeks later, something unexpected happened. I met my old friends again. The same friends who once laughed at me. The same people who didn't believe in me. This time, I was not the same Alex. I was confident, calm, and successful. We met at the same cafe where I once felt embarrassed. But now, everything felt different. They looked at me and were surprised. One of them said, "Alex, is that really you?" I smiled and sat down. We started talking. I spoke in English naturally during the conversation. Not to show off, but because it had become my habit now. They were shocked. They kept listening quietly. Then, one of them finally asked the question, "How did you learn English like this?" I looked at them for a moment. I remembered everything. The failure, the embarrassment, the nights of frustration, the hours of practice, and I simply said, consistency, not talent. There was silence for a second. Then I continued. I was not the smartest person. I was not the most talented. But I never gave up. That's the only difference. They didn't laugh this time. They just listened. And I realized something important in that moment. Success is not about how fast you start. It is about how long you don't quit. I didn't become a different person. I just stayed consistent long enough to become the person I always wanted to be. English changed my life. But it was not the only reason. The real change came from discipline, because learning English alone was not magic. Showing up every day was the real power. Even on days when I was tired, I still studied. Even when I made mistakes, I still spoke. Even when I felt slow, I never stopped, and slowly, small daily efforts started becoming big results. That is the truth nobody tells you. Big success is not built in one day. It is built in small actions repeated again and again. If I can change my life in 5 months, you can also start your journey today. You don't need talent. You don't need perfect English. You just need consistency. Start small, but don't stop, because one day your effort will surprise even you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and comment below.